Welcome back, YouTubers, to another edition of the British Fist
Ka-ching!
TNA Impact Wrestling Review, sponsored, of course, by NJ's Ka-ching. I'm Mr. Parkin, and this guy sitting next to me, waving his arms around filet-lily, as I've just made up. It's none other than NJ.
Awesome!
Please subscribe, like this video, and comment your thoughts on this edition of TNA Impact Wrestling from Corpus Christi in the comment section below.
And please make sure you contact us in the links in the description box below.
Yeah, indeed. And after what was a real terrible rating last week for TNA, especially after such a heavily promoted show, really expected them to get back on course this week.
And that's the terrible thing, I'm pretty sure hit TNA pretty hard.
Yeah.
They built up this big show, big main event. You can say whatever reason you want for why it got low ratings, but obviously they've got to move on from that now and try and make the shows to come bigger and better.
Indeed. And the first thing we actually got was reaction from last week. We had the whole thing with Hardy being taken to the hospital with Hogan looking on, sort of going from last week, moving on to this week. We also had Devon saying that he needed Garrett and Briscoe to get the job done, to be taking care of business. And that was our opening match, the handicap match that was announced last week, Kurt Angle versus Garrett Bischoff and Wes Briscoe.
Again, yes, you need your two members who 1 minute had a push going for them, then they join the Ace and Eights, it's not there. If you want them to do anything, yes, people are not going to care. Why not have them as a tag team going for the tag team titles?
Wouldn't be a bad idea. They do need some tag teams in there. I don't think. Does anyone else kind of feel that Kurt Angle is being kind of wasted right now? Especially he's feuding with Garrett Bischoff and Wes Briscoe. Is this not a kind of waste for Kurt Angle right now? I'm just saying.
My opinion for that is yes, because I think it was about 3-4 weeks ago now, they were teasing a Bully Ray Kurt Angle feud, which is a top heel and Bully Ray with Angle, a good guy, to go up against a top heel. But then they moved away from that and started teasing these other feuds for Angle. So I think Angle's not in the right place, even though he is involved with the Ace and Eight, so it's going to get on TV each week.
Yeah, the match really, the only real notable thing is the interference by Aces and Eights, which happened a lot tonight. There was a lot of Aces and Eights tonight, by the way. And let this soak in for a minute, breathe. Garrett Bischoff pinned Kurt Angle.
Even though he was getting chanted, "You can't wrestle," the whole John Cena kind of style chants, but that's the thing. Yes, it was done in a way that Wes has got a win over Angle due to the Ace and Eight. Garrett's got a win now, so it looks like they're piling up these losses on Kurt Angle. Bit surprising there.
I can't believe Kurt Angle actually did the job for Garrett Bischoff. I just can't believe it. Garrett Bischoff hits him over the head with a chain after all this Aces and Eights interference, which we got a lot on throughout the night. So the Aces and Eights win this match. Hey, at least they're winning matches. Anderson gets on the mic saying that this is how things are going to go down, and he's going to be rooting for AJ in the main event later tonight.
And this is the thing, I'm really glad, like, with the mic talkers, they are giving the mic to the right people in the faction. I do give them credit for that. Anderson mic makes me laugh, so for that purpose, I had no problem.
The X Division stuff this week, you know, generally they plot out an X Division match without any real hype or anything. Well, this week, the X Division guys, Petey Williams, Kenny King, and Zema, actually got interviews, and they actually got entrances, which is kind of good, because we haven't really seen that a lot from the X Division lately.
I'm really hoping this is an ongoing thing. I'm not going to put TNA down, but every time they start to win the TNA back, they lose it again. But for this, I'm glad it got the focus, it got a match, and you had the 3 possible top wrestlers in this match.
Kenny King versus Zema Iron versus Petey Williams for the X Division Championship in the triple threat match. They determined Petey Williams on the previous Corpus Christi show. What about 10 minutes? 6 minutes, which is slightly longer than I thought it would go. What did you think of this new ref cam? I'll give TNA props for being new and innovative. I'm not sure if it really was very practical, but, you know, it's a new perspective on things.
I'm glad the ref cam didn't overtake too much of the match. My liking of it is when there's like a shoulder lift up, we get to see it through the ref's eyes, so they have backup, creative way to sort out future matches. But again, I don't really think it's needed.
Wouldn't work on a live show, just put it that way. Kenny King now has new music, and he wins in his kind of typical heel fashion in a triple threat match.
The thing I like about this match is, yes, X Division starting to come back, but I'm just waiting for a strong X Division feud. Yes, Kenny King won in the heel kind of way, but I want to see an ongoing X Division feud, so to draw attention to a to Kenny King and the X Division.
To be honest, we're not going to get that anymore because of the whole triple threat thing. Every match is going to be a triple threat. There ain't going to be no storylines anymore, unfortunately, which is a shame because you could have had some good storylines in there with Kenny King and some other guys if you brought them in. But yeah, and the crowd were chanting boring during this as well, which kind of surprised me. The match wasn't like great, but it was decent.
No, again, I'm not going to agree. I'm not going to disagree with the crowd because with me, like I've just said, the X Division hasn't felt important in TNA for a while. So for the crowd not to be with it as much as they should, I don't blame them.
I don't know about you, NJ, but when I saw that Magnus was getting a TV title shot, I was thinking, yes, this is going to be awesome. Until the Ace and H jumped in before the match started.
That was, again, I tweeted this just because I believe when it comes to the Ace and Eights throughout the night, yes, it comes to be a complaint. At the same time, the Ace and Eights are shining bright here because this is what made the Ace and Eights what they were, the attacks before matches and stuff. So for that, I liked it. But at the same time, did it have to be on to Magnus for the second time?
Yeah, you get Joe coming out, and then that leads to a match later on in the evening with Devon versus Samoa Joe. The Ace and Eights interfere once again to give Devon the win about 3.5 minutes in. They attack Samoa Joe after the match. So Ace and Eights were interfering and leaving their mark a lot on this show. And we're not even halfway through the review yet.
No, with Magnus, I want to quickly say this. I would love to see, especially if you're keeping Magnus involved with the Ace and Eights, I would love to see Magnus versus Mr. Anderson.
Just on one condition. You give Joseph Park the TV title.
That would be the way to go.
Yeah, that's the way I would do it.
Fourth Dimension Falconer last week tried to come at me during my promo. I don't know what pathetic, worthless attempt that was to try and get at me, but believe me, you worthless mortal. This week, I'll be coming right back at you in the way things should be done.
So we had our number one contendership match, which was announced last week for the Knockouts Championship. This was actually the hour main event. Miss Tetschmager versus Mickie James. To be honest, Knockouts generally draw the biggest ratings on the show sometimes, so I'm not surprised this was the hour main event, to be honest.
That could be the case, but again, we said last week, why the hell is this match happening? We get a backstage segment with Brooke Hogan and the two challengers here, and it basically comes down, you're two hard-working knockouts, and I believe you could put on an entertaining match. Yes, but they haven't really done it for weeks, and I look at, then you have Brooke saying, Tess saying, oh, I feel for you, you know. I was like, thanks for explaining the match, but it still hasn't really got me convinced. But at least they're two different knockouts on TV.
Yeah, and then we get to the match itself. ODB is still the referee. Guess better than Joey Ryan. And at least we're getting some fresh stuff. I mean, we got Miss Tetschmager versus Mickie James, which is actually a fresh match. And Mickie James picks up the win with the counter pin. I must admit, you got Mickie James versus Velvet that's announced for next week. That's kind of like a fresh matchup. And also interesting post-match interview with Mickie James saying that she's pretty much saying that she's pissed off for being overlooked. Do you think they might be teasing some kind of heel turn here? Might be a nice, refreshing way to reinvent Mickie James a little bit.
They'll be teasing this heel for the second time. So if they actually make it happen, then go for it. ODB, I think she may be there because they've got nothing else for her to do. I'm glad that knockout tag title has disappeared. But now I'm just thinking, Mickie James heel going up against Velvet Sky and so on. It's a good way to go.
It's something new, which quite frankly we haven't had in the Knockouts division for quite some time. Couple of backstage things to talk about. Bully Ray attacked Joseph Park from behind for getting involved in family business. This is to do with the whole Brooke annulment thing that's going on.
Again, yes, we had Bully Ray attacking, but I think that was more Joseph Park and Devon teasing that continuation of a feud.
Give him the TV title, please. Just please give Joseph Park the TV title. We had another promo from Morgan talking about all of Hogan's mistakes. I do wonder if they're actually going to do anything with Matt Morgan. I mean, it's good that they're having these backstage segments, but he's not really in a feud or in matches. Or I just wonder when they're actually going to try and do something with Matt Morgan. I mean, come on.
I think slowly building something up. Yes, it's not as quick, or he's not involved in matches, feuds,
Didn't
and
he return at Bound for Glory though?
Well, I think he's waiting for the right time to get involved. He said you've made the wrong choice for not giving me the championship shot and stuff. I'm just looking forward to see Matt Morgan because, like I've said many times about Matt Morgan, he deserves better than what he had.
I mean, as soon as he returned to Bound for Glory, he was going after Hogan, and now he's still going after Hogan. He's not really been involved in anything. He was put in a tag team, then broke up from the tag team, and Just a little bit directionless, that's all. We had a Bad Influence promo, though. Always love Bad Influence promos. Basically, they won a title shot. And at that point, I was like, oh, God. Until Rude and Aries came out saying they're still the number one contenders, and then they start jaw-jacking. It was a bit like Squabble Mania, wasn't it? Entertaining, but Squabble Mania.
I'm a bit disappointed with this. Yes, it was good mic work. But number one, TNA knew they had gold here in this feud that we got in the ring right here before Chavo and Hernandez came out. You have gold there, but why do you have to take off the actual gold from this feud? You could have, yes, it's still happening, but it's probably in a more contendership. But you could have had the match set there and dusted without taking the title away in the first place.
And next week, it looks like we're going to be getting Rude and Aries versus Los Stereotypicos, but it was announced. And this is the thing, it's like, they've won the belts back now, you've got no new relevant feud to them. And let's face it, as soon as Chavo and Hernandez came out, you know, the segment just died. And all Chavo could say is, this is why we're better.
And they laid out Rude and Aries, which I thought was really sad because it happened last week, it's happened this week. But the thing I want to say quickly is, I would love to see, yes, it's not going to happen, but Daniels and Kaz could quite easily turn face somewhere down the line. They're over, entertaining.
Or Rude and Aries could turn face.
Either one. But the thing is, we need another face tag team, or we know who's going to be the next champions all the time.
Pretty much. It's a bit of a stale tag team division right now. The only fresh match they can do is Wet Dream Team versus Bad Influence. It doesn't look like they're going to do that because they're both heels. So there we go. Main event of the evening. James Storm versus AJ Styles. This was AJ Styles' first match back. I must admit, I wasn't really too much concentrating on the match. I was really more concentrating on what different stuff AJ was doing. Were they fitting his character? He was a lot more aggressive here. He won with a new submission hold. And these things, especially in his first match back, these are things you really want to try and nail to the audience.
He was starting off it good. He didn't want to be a part of the match he wore. James Storm got in the ring, they fought. And you get to see AJ do what he can to fight. James Storm being the character. Good pops here and there for the moves they did. But I was concentrating more on AJ. But I'm glad this feud is happening. And I think because of what comes up, they're going to be continuing this.
Yeah, and with AJ's first match back as his new character, you had to put him over here, really. The interesting time came after the match. You had Bad Influence going in to congratulate AJ. He just attacks them both. You have that kind of shows that he's a loner, and I think that's the way it should go. I don't think AJ Styles should be on anyone's side. With his new character, he shouldn't be aligning himself with anyone, essentially, unless down the road they kind of do that.
The aligning looks like it may still be happening because he walked away from Kaz and Daniels, walked away from James Storm, but when the Ace and Eights were there, so they're still teasing weekly that he could still be a part of the Ace and Eights.
I mean, he beat up Bad Influence, he walked away from James Storm, he also walked away from the Ace and Eights, so all those three decisions there, you're still wondering, who is he with? And this is compelling stuff. And then the main part of the segment was Bully Ray getting on the mic after AJ leaves, saying that there are no more heroes left in TNA, even though he's only been champion for just over a month. And it's Hogan's fault. And next week, I believe is Open Fight Night, he'll be calling out Hulk Hogan. Hoping this doesn't turn into a Slammiversary match, but calling out Hogan, Bully Ray, the world champ, I guess.
My big interesting about that is when it comes to this, if they take out Hogan, who's going to be running it? The Ace and Eights. But the thing about it is, Bully Ray and Mike to finish the show, saying who they are, and bringing a bit of Taz, who's done nothing for weeks.
Just another victim, yeah?
Yeah, and all this stuff. I think they're really bringing up the Ace and Eights a lot better than what they did through about 5-month period. But at the same time, like I said, each and every week, I'm not buying the Ace and Eights. They're only starting to pick up because of Bully.
Yes, indeed. And this Hogan Bully Ray stuff, while I'm interested, I hope it doesn't lead to a match, even though it might be awesome to see Hogan go in the ring one more time, I guess.
Fourth Dimension Fall Killer.
So, NJ, overall thoughts on this week's show? It was a very Aces and Eights orientated show, and I think many people's view on this show will just depend on what they think of the Aces and Eights. Do they actually buy them as this legitimate faction? I mean, they're being booked a lot better now, but do you still buy these guys as a legitimate faction in TNA when Bully Ray isn't on the scene?
Week after week after week, Bully Ray has not changed my opinion on the Ace and Eights. I'm liking what they're doing. They're setting stuff up, setting feuds up for individual members of the Ace and Eights. But like I said, I think the rest of the show needs storylines, needs to be worked on more like the tag, the X Division, but They're concentrating too much on the Ace and Eights once again.
This was, like I said, a very Ace and Eights heavily orientated show. I'm still not buying too much into the Ace and Eights, even though they are getting booked a little bit better, and they're kind of putting it across that Ace and Eights are a bit more of a legitimate threat. But at the end of the day, this Bully Ray Hogan stuff essentially all goes to Hogan again. At the end of the day, I guess. Some other stuff in the show, it's fine. The AJ stuff's still compelling. Knockouts we've got some new stuff there. X Division, same. Tag is kind of same. So there's some stuff in there that's kind of exactly the same, but there's some that is compelling. There was 6 or 7 segments on this show. It was a pretty decent show. I mean, it is still a decent show despite the little qualms. A better show than I would expected it. A better show than I thought it would be than if I knew Ace and Ace were going to be dominating half the show. Just put it that way.
True. Even though I think things are missing from TNA still, and hopefully that will change, I still enjoyed this show. The Ace and Eights still interest me, but I don't care for them because I'm wondering where they're going to go next. But it was a good show.
Indeed, leave your thoughts on this show down in the comment section below, and to provide you with a very Aces and Eights outro is none other than NJ.
Now, people, I'm a bit confused what Terminator NJ meant. We'll have to see what Parkin has to say in his video this week. But for Mr. Parkin and me NJ, you better be prepared because the best is yet to come.